Some local LA City officials are joining local labor leaders demanding the state take steps to curb the use of robo-taxis in
Los Angeles wakes up fast. By 6 a.m., the 405 freeway is already humming with impatience. Yellow taxis weave between commuters, airport travelers, and delivery trucks. Nothing looks unusual. Nothing feels dangerous. But sometimes the most sophisticated criminal operations hide in plain sight. For 5 years, a respected taxi company moved through the streets of Los Angeles like any other transportation service. Licensed, inspected, approved. Clean vehicles, professional drivers, millions of satisfied passengers. On paper, it was a model business. But deep inside a quiet federal command room, a different story was unfolding. Investigators from the Drug Enforcement Administration had spent 13 months watching patterns no one else noticed. Certain taxis repeatedly traveled to the same warehouse blocks in East LA. The drivers were always different, the cars were always the same. That was the first clue. Then came anonymous tips, unusual financial transfers, dispatch codes that didn't match regular taxi language. What looked random was actually precise. What looked routine was engineered. Authorities believed the company had been purchased years earlier by a criminal network, not to transport people, but to build a moving smuggling system disguised as public transportation. Every day, hundreds of taxis crossed the city without suspicion. If the theory was true, the streets of Los Angeles were not just roads, they were delivery lanes for something far darker. But believing wasn't enough. To take down something this large, investigators needed proof. Not one car, not 10. They needed to expose the entire machine at once, and that meant going undercover.
Local LA City officials are joining local labor leaders demanding the state take steps to curb the use of robo-taxis in Los Angeles.
2 months before the takedown, a young federal recruit walked into the taxi company's office and filled out a job application. No badge, no weapon, just a resume. He was hired within 24 hours. For 60 days, he lived the life of an ordinary cab driver. Long shifts, heavy traffic, impatient passengers, airport pickups. He learned the routes, he learned the radio codes, he learned which dispatchers gave priority runs. At first, nothing seemed suspicious. Then one night in November, everything changed. He was assigned Taxi 47 for what dispatch called a VIP transfer. The instructions were simple. Pick up at Terminal 4, drop off near a warehouse district. No red flags, no visible cargo, just another shift. But after the drop-off, the agent stopped at a public scale station. Earlier that day, he had discreetly weighed the vehicle. Now he weighed it again. It was lighter, nearly 50 pounds lighter. No passenger could explain that difference. That weight shift confirmed what investigators suspected. Hidden compartments were being accessed without drivers even knowing. The rookie agent reported back immediately. The case exploded from suspicion to certainty. But arresting one car would destroy the larger investigation. If dispatch caught wind of a single seizure, the entire fleet could disappear overnight. So federal teams shifted strategy. Instead of chasing drivers, they would target infrastructure. Instead of stopping cars individually, they would silence the entire system simultaneously. To do that, they needed technology and timing.
Local LA City officials are joining local labor leaders demanding the state take steps to curb the use of robo-taxis in Los Angeles.
The next phase of the investigation looked more like science fiction than police work. Mobile X-ray units, disguised as city maintenance trucks, began parking near taxi depots and airport exits. As taxis drove past, scanners quietly captured images of their internal frames. The results were undeniable. Under passenger seats, inside door panels, beneath floorboards, perfectly welded compartments lined with lead shielding, precision engineering, factory-level modifications. Out of 500 taxis, 340 showed identical hidden storage units. Each compartment could carry up to 44 pounds of narcotics. That meant thousands of pounds moving daily across one of America's busiest cities. Wiretaps added another layer. Dispatchers used coded phrases: priority pickup, special client, long stay. Investigators decoded the language. A special client meant high-value cargo. A maintenance stop meant compartment loading. The most disturbing discovery? The drivers were innocent. Background checks showed no criminal records. Many had been working for years. They were unknowingly driving rolling contraband vaults beneath their seats. This created a moral dilemma. Prosecutors didn't want to punish workers manipulated by executives. The real targets were the architects, the leadership. Then came urgent intelligence. A major shipment was scheduled ahead of Super Bowl weekend. A synthetic pink narcotic mixture, large scale, high risk. Waiting was no longer an option. But stopping 500 vehicles across a city the size of Los Angeles required something unprecedented. So cyber specialists made a bold decision. They would hijack the company's radio system at exactly the same second.
Local LA City officials are joining local labor leaders, demanding the state take steps to curb the use of robo-taxis in Los Angeles.
On January 28th, before sunrise, 800 officers gathered for final briefing. They weren't told to expect a gunfight. They were told to expect confusion. At 5:59 a.m., yellow taxis were already blending into rush hour traffic. GPS monitors showed 500 blinking dots moving across the city. Then the clock hit 6. Inside every taxi, the familiar dispatch voice disappeared. Instead, a calm federal announcement filled the speakers. This is the Drug Enforcement Administration. Pull over safely. You are not under arrest. Across highways and side streets, yellow cabs slowed simultaneously. Drivers looked at each other in disbelief. Some thought it was a prank. Others feared immigration enforcement. Then, the unmarked SUVs arrived. Agents approached with open hands, reassuring drivers they were not suspects. Using hydraulic tools, officers opened hidden panels beneath seats. Inside, brick after brick of tightly wrapped narcotics. Drivers stared in shock. One man whispered, "I've been driving for 20 years." The agent replied softly, "You were never the criminal. You were the camouflage." Meanwhile, in the industrial district of Vernon, a second team stormed the company garage. Instead of oil changes, they found assembly line installations, welders fitting new compartments into fresh taxis. It wasn't a repair shop, it was a manufacturing facility for smuggling vehicles. And at headquarters, executives attempted to destroy digital records. Too late. Servers had already been mirrored remotely. The system was exposed completely.
Local LA City officials are joining local labor leaders, demanding the state take steps to curb the use of robo-taxis in Los Angeles.
By noon, the streets looked normal again. Traffic resumed, airports reopened lanes. But beneath the surface, one of California's most sophisticated smuggling systems had collapsed in a single coordinated hour. Hundreds of drivers were released without charges. Many required counseling after discovering they had unknowingly transported illegal narcotics for years. Families were stunned. Trust was shattered. Executives faced federal conspiracy charges. Asset seizures followed. The company dissolved. Operation Yellow Line became a case study in modern organized crime, how legitimate businesses can be weaponized as invisible transport networks. The lesson was uncomfortable. Criminal innovation evolves. It adapts to technology, regulations, and public trust. The more ordinary something appears, the less scrutiny it receives. In a city as massive and fast-moving as Los Angeles, anonymity can be the perfect disguise. But this case also showed something else. Precision investigation beats panic. Patience beats impulse. And sometimes the most powerful weapon is not force, but coordination. 500 cars, one voice, one moment, in an invisible highway disappeared overnight.